I'm traveling to Durres World Youth Chess Championship. Maybe you are also traveling to Albania for the first time. You might have wondered, is it safe? What do you expect and what will you do there? I'm trying to answer this in this video. In parallel, I have published another video on International Chess Championships for Children, which is more focused on chess side of things. It will run automatically after this video. I personally love traveling and I visited more than 10 countries this year. Last year I've also been to Albania and my kids have visited Durres 2 years ago to play chess. If you are interested in the useful tips that I can provide, please keep watching. How safe is it? Every time I travel with my children to any location that seems exotic, the first question I ask myself is it safe? Now, movies don't really help the perception of Albania. Anytime you hear about Albania, it is crime related. Fortunately, that is a little bit far from the truth. I looked into some objective data that focus on safety and crime indices in 2025. The data I used were from CEO World magazine and from Numbeo. You can find them in the links in the video description. In safety scores, Durres is not present, but I looked at Tirana as the next best thing. It's really in the neighborhood and should show more or less the same picture. Tirana ranks there very similar to Boston, San Diego, Vancouver in Canada, Bristol in UK or Hamburg in Germany. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't see those cities as unsafe. Durres is also a tourist destination. My children were there 2 years ago and had a very positive experience. You might see a little bit more police visible than you get at your home place, but it is for prevention purposes only. And they do really like tourists. Now, challenges you can have everywhere, including your home country, but in principle, it is a fairly safe country for tourists. When talking safety in Albania, I can't avoid the topic of driving. Albanians were not allowed to own private cars till 1991, so there were only 6,000 cars roughly in the country at that time. The driving culture as a consequence is still evolving. I really drove all around Europe, from Ireland and UK to Portugal, Poland, Romania and Italy, among others. But in Albania, I am not sure I would dare to. That is a consequence of me seeing a little bit of driving in Tirana. Our driver, when coming to the roundabout, had to avoid the eye contact, not to send mixed messages to the other drivers and cause a car crash. I also believe I have seen an elderly lady saying a prayer before joining the traffic in Tirana. That is not very reassuring, so if you plan to rent a car and drive around, please be careful. Geographically, Albania is one of the most mountainous countries in Europe. Tourism, though, is focused primarily on the coast. Durres itself is located on the Adriatic Sea. Last few years, Albania has been a big hit in European tourism. How it works, it's a similar coastline to other Mediterranean countries, but prices are much better at this stage. The infrastructure, though, is a little bit behind, and I primarily mean roads when I talk infrastructure here. If you find the right hotel, everything should be good, and our 5 stars don't sound so bad. Religion was banned since 1967 and 1990, and Albania was proclaimed the first atheist country in the world. Even today, national identity is far more important than the religious identity for Albanians. Albania is religiously diverse, with Islam, Christianity and atheism peacefully coexisting. Religion has no impact on fashion and what people wear every day. What should you pack and wear in Durres in Albania in early October? What's the weather like? October is actually a good month to visit the place, although it is definitely not the peak season. That comes earlier in July and August. The weather you can expect should be mild, between 15 degrees in the morning and 24 in the afternoon. Sea should be around 21 degrees, I'm talking Celsius, just to mention that. Modern fashion is generally okay in Durres and Tirana. Only in traditional places like mosques, maybe you should be careful not to wear anything too revealing. In terms of daylight, you can expect the same daylight hours as in the cities with similar latitude, like New York, Naples, or Istanbul. That means that the sunrise should be around 6:30 in the morning and the sunset should be around 5:30 in the afternoon. How close is the hotel to the airport? How do you find the transfers? I believe everyone will arrive to Tirana International Airport that has a very nice name of Mother Teresa. It is a modern airport and you can expect all the modern facilities there. Your passport, it would be good if it would be valid for another 6 months after arrival to the country. Albanians supposedly like that. Most countries do not really need visas, so countries like EU, UK or US wouldn't need a visa for a short stay in Albania. But if you have a specific situation or another country, please check it yourself. Children without parents and guardians should have some kind of a legal authorization for people who they travel with, because paperwork is still very important in the countries of Central and Eastern Europe, and that is at the end of the day an important thing. Transfers are free on the arranged arrival and departure days of October 3rd and October 16th. When you get to arrivals on Tirana International Airport, you should look for signs FIDE or CES, and you will find the people who will direct you towards the next steps. The hotel is some 40 kilometers away, which should take around 45 minutes for you to get there. Venue is called Grand Blue Fafa Resort. It has a bit of mixed reviews, and many agree that 5 stars might be a little bit generous, but it supposedly has good rooms and it is in an amazing location on a beach. Wi-Fi might be a bit tricky. People say it's a little bit weak, so if you are planning to do anything important online, maybe you should look into eSIMs or local SIM cards. Resort option I really like when we are talking these big events like International Chess Championships, because you don't need to worry about bus transfers taking you to the venue. You can simply walk there. When I travel to new countries, what I always check is credit card usage, ATMs, and taxi apps. When we talk Albania, in hotels, restaurants, and large shops, credit cards should be okay. But when you look around, if you go to smaller places, especially outside of tourist resorts and big cities, you will quickly find out that cash is still king around there. When we talk cash, we are talking about local currency called lek in Albania. Euro sometimes you can also use to pay for a taxi ride, but typically in lek you will get a better price. So I would recommend you simply have lek ready as of an early stage when arriving to Albania. Best option to get lek is to have with you some euros or US dollars and exchange them in an exchange office for lek. Also, a recommendation: when you go to the exchange office, try to avoid hidden fees. The best way that has been working for me for years was, how much will I get for 50 euros? And that's how you avoid all the hidden commissions that come and calculated are at the end. ATMs can be a bit tricky because some of them have both fixed fees and a percentage of the amount you are taking about. If you must use ATMs, I would recommend to do as little transactions as possible to avoid fees that are fixed, but also to look for big bank ATMs like OTP Bank in Albania. If you are moving around, and you don't have to, let me mention that, if you are just planning to play and stay at the hotel, you don't need other solutions, other ideas. But if you want to move around and see something more than the playing venue and your hotel and immediate neighborhood, then the question is, what is the right way to do that. I would not recommend public transport that much. Bolt and Uber as key taxi apps in Europe are not present in Albania. There are some local apps, but usual solution in tourist resorts are taxis. Typically, they will not be accepting cards in Albania, but only cash. As said, Albanian lek would be recommended. I would recommend you to ask at the hotel reception, and they should be able to provide you with a good solution for a taxi taking you around Durres. When we talk roaming, the key thing to know, this is not European Union, so roaming might become very, very expensive for you in Albania. What I did the last time, I was relying on Wi-Fi, but if you are staying for more days, a local SIM or eSIM might be a good idea. Especially when you remember what I said a little bit earlier, even in the hotel, Wi-Fi might be a little bit weaker. So if you have any important work to do online, it would be really good to have a solution ready. Usually the organizers are ready to assist with local SIM or eSIM questions. Last note, electricity. Albania uses, as most of Europe, 230 volts with 2 round pins. So it is very similar to the countries like Germany, France, or Poland. You might be wondering, how will your day look like in Durres? All games are scheduled at 3 p.m., so every single day games will be at 3 p.m. The exception is last round on October 15th, when the game is scheduled for 1:30 p.m. The reason is accommodating the closing ceremony, so it doesn't start way too late. Also on day 1, you should plan on opening ceremony at 2:30 p.m. so your day in the playing venue will start a little bit earlier. One thing I always say when I talk big international chess championships, day 1, be ready for a little bit of chaos. I haven't seen an event without a little bit of chaos, and I've been to 10 of them. By then, day 3, this does get smooth, and you can plan your morning activities easily because things get into a little bit of business as usual. Other fixed things you should take care about are 3 hotel meals that you have in a day, so you can plan around them. Of course, you can also choose to skip them occasionally. If you have any potential sessions scheduled with your coach, you should also calculate with those. Bear in mind, 10th of October is the rest day, and organizer mentions some cultural activities and visit tours. What are you going to see and do in Durres, apart from chess? When I travel to new places, I consider a big and important part of my children's education to see a little bit more than the playing venue and the hotel. Durres is the second biggest city in Albania with some 200,000 inhabitants. It is almost 3,000 years ago, and it has a lot to offer in terms of both ancient history and modern tourism, all with a touch of Mediterranean vibe. Things to see that I would recommend you to see are Roman amphitheater from 2nd century. It is definitely number 1 on the list. It had up to 20,000 seats, and it is located in the Durres city center. Second thing, and you will not be able to miss this one, is Durres beach, which is 10 kilometers long, and it is the most popular beach in Albania. You are there, use it well. One very good and recommended site for taking good photographs is the Sphinxy sculpture location, where you can also take a few pictures of amazing sunsets. Something from the Turkish era is Great Mosque of Durres, which can show you a little bit how Durres looked and what was the feel around that era. The popular time to visit is in the morning, which it should be fairly quiet. If you want to have a feel of medieval Albania, Venetian Tower with all the medieval towers and city walls is the place to see. Now, one thing in Albania when you come for the first time that you have to see is something from the communist era, because it was special and so different than anything that you could see even in the former Soviet bloc. Peeping Tourist Museum is something that's highly recommended for for this purpose. It will give you an idea of how tourism looked back in the days, maybe even surprise you with some local bunkers. There is another thing, local legend, Door of Wishes. Guess what? Make a wish, go and see it. When I look at traditional food in Albania, it is a lot about Turkish influences. But lately, there is a huge influence from Italian cuisine. I have to admit I was amazed in Tirana with a combination of local seafood and Italian base. I am highly recommending it ever since, and I think anyone who is even a little bit into seafood has to try. If you want to learn even more, I have a local guide for you in the video description. Thank you for watching. Running right after this video, there is another video, but that one is focused on the chess aspect of international chess championships for kids. I learned a lot about Albania and Durres by making this video. If you find it useful, please consider subscribing to see more similar content from Chess Dad around chess championships and everything chess. Next week, I will be talking about FIDE ratings and explaining how you get them and how they work all together. Link to Durres City Guide is in the video description, and there is also one to my video on international chess championships for children. Cheers!